Five.
Reselling Raiders roll. Reselling Raiders, treasure we chase. Hat house fired up, coaching the race. Vintage hats, shirts, golf gear supreme. Raiders of resale, living the dream. From whatnot to eBay, we score the loot. Vintage finds in every pursuit. Tips to cash in, stories so grand. Reselling Raiders, rulers of the land. Reselling Raiders, treasure we chase. Hat house fired up, coaching the race. Vintage hat shirts, golf gear supreme. Raiders of resale, living the dream. Tune in, hear the lore. Reselling Raiders, always more.
Hey
And
guys,
here we are.
welcome back to the Raiders of Reselling podcast live from the Hat House. I'm Hat House, joined by Coach Porch, and from the Big Sky Country, we've got Fired Up Finds. Tonight, we're going to deep dive into, we touched on a little bit last week. We're going to talk a little bit more about it this week, cross-listing. That's going to be our main theme. And as always, we want to hear from you guys. So make sure you get over into the YouTube chat. I think I figured out how to get the chat brought up on the screen this time. So make sure you hit that thumbs up, get into the chat, leave us a chat, and we'll definitely get to it. If you're listening in the podcast land, we really appreciate your download, and we're being downloaded all over the nation and all over the world. Anywhere you can get your podcasts, the Spotify's, the YouTubes, iHeartRadios, Amazon. Please leave us a 5-star review, and don't be afraid to ask what you'd like for us to cover in the future. Believe it or not, we did get an email this week about a real sponsor. So
Stop it.
that's not going to be what we're going to lead it off with, because I've got to dig into it a little bit more. We're not going to promote anything that we definitely aren't all on board with. So maybe we have a real one in a couple of weeks, but we'll see.
We've only ever had the realest of the real sponsors.
But it's never going to unseat our flagship sponsor, I guess you'll say, our weekly flagship sponsor.
Yeah.
And you got it this week, Fired Up?
Dude, I got a phone call from none other than Slim Jim. So thank you, Slim Jim, for sponsoring today's episode. This episode is brought to you by Slim Jim, the only meat stick that screams, I gave up, louder than your last Tinder date. Whether you're road tripping, rage gaming, or just trying to ignore your life's choices, tear into a Slim Jim and pretend it's food. Slim Jims. Because sometimes chewing questionable meat in a plastic tube is easier than therapy.
No doubt. Slim Jim's where it's at.
Slim Jim.
How many did you eat on the way to Montana?
64.
64 Slim Jims?
64 Slim Jim.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
And
64 Slim Jim. Cheddar jalapeno.
you haven't been in the bathroom the whole time you've been there in Montana?
No, dude, believe it or not, I usually poop 3 times a day. I haven't pooped one time on my trip.
Wow, that's good. But a
Yep.
Slim Jim's like 90% grease. So
but it's 100% delicious.
it is that.
You know what I mean?
What is in
100.
Yeah.
what is in a Slim Jim?
I don't know, but I don't know, but honestly, one time I was driving down the road
We don't question it.
and I ran out of power steering fluid, and I just took a bunch of Slim Jims and wrung them out into the power steering fluid container, dude, and it worked great. So I'm not 100% sure what's in there, but I'm sure it'll work with your oil, maybe your windshield wiper fluid, whatever you want.
Maybe not the windshield wiper fluid.
Yeah.
I bet it's as good as 5W20.
Oh,
Oh,
easily.
absolutely.
Oh, easily.
It keeps you lubed up.
Yeah. I'll use it for bar oil on the chainsaw sometimes. You know what I mean?
For sure. All right. So
What'd you
Go
guys
ahead.
do this? What'd you guys do this week? Can I get a weekly break?
This week?
Yeah.
It's Tuesday.
Well, since we talked on the last pod.
In the last 7 days,
Yeah.
I got the number one thing on my list. I got the bins.
Oh yes, I did see it.
Oh, we got to hear
I
stories.
did
So-
see it. I
We
cannot
got to
wait
hear stories.
I
So
cannot
they're
wait to hear that.
definitely is the bins. I had a picture of the bins. Did I not load it? Oh yeah, here it is. Check that out.
Insanity.
That's the
Insanity.
opening day. The first
Like
30
day one, right?
minutes. Yeah.
Oh.
All of the Oklahoma City vintage bros were there. I
And their
just
great
knew them
grandma.
from yeah. They were all there.
That one
They
girl's
made
got a
it-
full cart already.
Yeah.
They made it till about lunchtime. There was not much in the way of cool vintage stuff in our bins to start out for sure. It was mostly ladies' clothing. The shoes actually weren't bad, and that's probably what we're going to pick up more and more of are shoes, since that's what's available. But the clothing was not great, and I know you at least expect to find some decent vintage stuff and some older stuff there, but all of it was just stuff they had cleared off their racks.
So it
And
also had tags on it.
yeah, it all still had tags on it. They were just clearing off their racks. There's really no
Yeah.
donations
Yeah.
coming in. And I assume that they'll get there, but it definitely it wasn't there yet. But it's
So
still
let me ask this: the new store, is it going to be shoe house or foot house?
the feet finder. I think we'll
I
go
would
with
go with foot house definitely because then you can get into sandals too.
the foot house, the feet finder. We'll definitely come up with something good. Foot house
That was-
79.
That was day Flipper dude, what's up, dude? That was the first day. How were the next handful of dates? Did it get slower or did it
Oh, it definitely slowed down. It was the next day that we went, there were fewer people. The holiday was hard to tell yesterday. There wasn't that many people there either. So I think it's gonna level out and not be very busy. And I just got to figure out their rotation schedule really of when they're gonna move stuff around.
How was it the first, so like hours, like I've been to different ones and different states and all that other stuff, and then some of them they'll just wheel them out, like there's no kind of organization for like don't attack the bin as it wheels out. But in the one in my town, that's an airplane flying over in case you guys can hear that, they're in my town they have we all basically line up on the wall, and then they bring out the new bins, and then they say, okay, you're fine. And then like in a single file, we all, go around. So I love it the best, but
This is more everybody surrounded it. Like if you were from Oklahoma, you would know what the land rush was. But so basically, it's a land rush almost. And you waited till the whistle is blown. And when the whistle is blown, then everybody rushes the bins and first come, first serve.
okay.
And I only had to yell at one guy not to touch it. He got this awesome Max Fly golf bag. I was a little peeved that day, but
That's some bitch.
yeah, I wanted to have that story. I wanted to have that story for the pod. Like,
Yeah.
it was brand new.
Oh man, that sucks. Now, did you just picture it when Fired Up was describing how he gets they all have to get up against the wall? Were you picturing like a Squid Games thing?
Yeah.
Guy standing there with the machine guns, like, stay there, don't move. If you move, you die.
Yeah. Well,
Do people get kicked?
Because it sucks a lot because you have to find a balance of like digging enough in the bin that you're like confident that you at least shuffled through the most amount of product to find, but also not staying there too long that you're like 15th in line. You know what I mean? Because you still want to be in the top like couple in line, because things that come off that bins that come out usually sometimes there's, jackets or something like that that's literally on top of the bin. So it's like if you're not, first or in the first couple, depending on who's in front of you, then obviously that thing is gone immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
For us, it's kind of like where you decide to stand at the beginning is
Where you're
you
at.
got to hope that they wheel something that's awesome right in front of you that
okay.
you're going to be able to get that
Like
when
a
they
Max
blow the
Fly
whistle.
bag with tags.
Yes, like a Max Fly bag.
Yeah, that's it's interesting how different bins will do, will like try to organize their like rotations. You know what I
Right.
mean? I find it.
And we'll definitely get to the bolos at the end. We'll definitely talk about some bolos. I've already picked up some stuff that's already sold. Sold some of it today. Sold some of it this weekend. There's some pretty good finds. I'm just going to have to, I don't know exactly what direction the old store is going to go into because I'm really laser focused right now on minimizing the biggest expense, which is the cost of goods. And if I'm going to be totally focused on that, the bins model is the best. If you can,
Yeah.
I mean, you basically get it for $1 or $2.
Pennies on the dollar, yeah.
And if I can lower the cost of goods in the store, but it just may not be. There are no hats. That's the bad thing. I picked up 4 hats in 4 days, and only one of them was even halfway decent sports hat. It wasn't vintage, but I don't. If I want to get hats more regularly, I'm going to have to drive like 2 hours to OKC. They always have hats. Ours has just not had them yet, but it may change when they get the raw donations coming in.
I think it'll start to change over time as you see it.
Yeah, they're probably just going to flood that thing with all the BS from the stores, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're just trying to take advantage of the hype.
Yeah.
And I think they feel like that's the good stuff, the stuff that still has the tags on it that they picked out first to put in the store to begin with. I feel like they think that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
But for vintage,
well,
yeah, it's funny because how we look at it is like if somebody buy it in the store, then you know what I mean. Like it's probably not necessarily even worth much to begin with. Period. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
nobody has ever accused them of being marketed geniuses.
Yeah.
Not at Goodwill. And yeah, if somebody passed over it, how many times has that piece of clothing been passed over in the store to finally make it to the bins? And it even went through a half price day too. It's just the clothing is not going to be where it's at. There's some other good stuff there though. And I'm surprised some of the shoes that have made it through. But the problem they run into is they just mark their shoes up way too much in the retail store. I mean, they're asking $20 to $30 for a shoe, and instead of mark it down to $10 or $5 in their store, they clear out the shelves and just throw it to the bins. I don't
My
know.
local store here is like that. I'd never go there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the shoes are ridiculously priced. They're pretty much eBay prices on shoes and ours. But
yeah,
I guess I'm going to be doing more shoes. List of 10 today.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's freaking awesome.
There we go. Fate Finder 79.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bolo list, we used to do everything. I mean, and we really honestly, we made more money that way. And so I think we will be doing more of just everything in that store.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you go? Well, let me ask him this. Did you go to hats strictly because it was easier logistically?
Yes.
Okay.
To buy
I know you got the big shed and you buy in bulk and you've got your whole system down, which is quite outstanding to begin with. So
yeah, just listing and shipping and the quality that I could get on hats in bulk is typically better than the quality that you can get if somebody's trying to sell you bulk clothes. For the $1 to $5 price point, I mean, you can get awesome vintage stuff. I don't even know what one of those bales goes for that they sell, that different people sell, but it just ended up being like the best bulk plus just being able to streamline everything else.
Gotcha.
but the cost of goods is higher, and just the throwaways is higher when you're buying in bulk like that, and just the lower end stuff that they pass on to you. But how well does Logo 7 do? That flipper dude asked. Great question. Typically, it's a great tag. Yeah, it's especially on hats and on clothing. But it's kind of one of those on Whatnot. You can actually get more than it maybe even is worth on eBay on that Logo 7
they get nuts
tag.
on Whatnot, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. On eBay, it just depends on the hat. I mean, Logo 7 makes shark tooth hats, and of course that's a banger. But Logo 7 also just makes some really ugly sports hats that are only worth $10 too. But typically, I'd pick it up. Definitely if it's at the bins.
Yeah. If you can get a pretty normal hat that's a Logo 7, and it'll go for 3x the price if it and it could be the same hat, but it's on a so just a different tag, like one of the lower tier tags, like maybe a G cap or something. I don't know, but Logo 7
Charger Splash Logo 7. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Flipper Dude. That's a
you
banger.
Also got to be careful when you're listing that too. The Flipper Dude is because Logo 7 and Logo Athletic have they both make shark tooths and some of that. But usually the Logo 7 ones are the twill ones. And the twill are going to be, a good amount less money than the Logo Athletic wool or wool blend hats. So just like when you're listing it or whatever, and you see a comp for that hat, make sure it's the twill Logo 7 and not the Logo Athletic.
For sure. That's a great rule of thumb. Logo 7 Logo Athletic is usually a lot more expensive than Logo 7 for that reason.
It's kind of like cars, you know what I mean? Like when they, like a Toyota and an Acura or whatever, like the same car, but it's like because of the emblem on it or whatever, it goes for higher price. It's kind of like a Logo 7 or Logo Athletic in a way. But either way.
Sure. So you had a pretty interesting weekend before you took off to Montana, right?
Yeah. And actually, matter of fact, I had a cool day today. I'll tell you this real quick before I tell you that story. We go to, so I have a lot of family out here, and some of my family owns a trucking company. And so they've owned it for, generations or whatever. And so they know people in all these little towns and whatever. So we spent the last 2 days in Yellowstone, and last night we stayed in I don't remember what the town was called, but Grandier or something like that. Outside of Yellowstone we stayed. And they know one of the guys there that owns like half the town. So he's like, dude, go to my restaurant. He's like, everything's on me. Don't worry about it. He's like, and then in the morning, because my little cousin's here, he's 11. He's like, in the morning, go over to my gift shop and pick you out a couple, shirts and hats and stuff like that. And he's like, it's all free. You know what I mean? And we're like, cool. So this morning, go over to the little gift shop, and I'm thinking it's like going to be a standard like Yellowstone gift shop, where everything's kind of crap. Well, it was much more of like a antique store than it was. I mean, there's a gift element to it, but right when I walk in the front door, and immediately I see a vintage Carhartt hanging up, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what in the world? And like this town, I looked it up.
A jacket or something else?
Yeah, jacket. And I'm like, this town has 700, as of last year, it has like 770 people that live in the town. And so I like walk in, and I'm like, immediately, I'm like, oh, that's mine. It has like the Grandier Fire Department embroidery on the back. Dude, it was sick. And so I put that off to the side or whatever. And he ends up not selling me that, by the way, which I was pretty disappointed about. But I ended up getting like a couple old trucker hats, and I got like a 90s Star Trek crew neck and like an old Levi's jacket, and like, you know what I mean, dude? I got like.
So were you ripping like the decorations off of his wall? Is that what you were doing?
I literally was. It was like something he didn't have for sale. Like we went in the back room, and like he had a tub full of like just like old like park ranger gear and stuff like that, dude. And and he just gave it all to me for free. And I was like,
is that what you do?
Want to know more about the
Is that what you do at Cracker Barrel too? You walk around Cracker Barrel.
Oh, look at this! This is nice.
Pulling all the shit off the wall. Oh, this is awesome! This is much better than the regular gift shop.
Literally, that's how it was. Like I was like, hey, what's up with those hats back there? He had a couple old trucker hats, like like Northern Pacific Railways and stuff like that, dude. And I was like, got him. I got him, and freaking dude, he was just giving me stuff, dude. It was like really awesome. So
the Carhartt was his
it was
his, wall decoration.
Yeah, he bought a house, and with that house, I guess he said it was his buddy's house that he bought, and with the house came the Carhartt, and he said that it was basically a gift from his buddy. It was something that
that makes sense.
Frame or whatever and put up in the shop or whatever. So I was like, I was bummed because I wasn't even gonna sell it. It wasn't like I was not gonna sell it. I was gonna hang it up in the man room. I just thought it'd be cool. But yeah. So
yeah, you said it had fire station on it, so I figured it'd be a personal.
Yeah, and it would have been too small for me to actually wear, but I just thought it'd be it was just gonna be a cool piece for the man room. But yeah, he wasn't letting go of it. I offered him some okay money for it, and he was like, "Nah." And I was like, "Damn it, dude!" You know what I mean? Like $100 doesn't go very far for people that have like some money, But yeah. So anyway, I left to go to Montana on Sunday morning. So Friday night, I get a text message. Let me get my phone. So Friday night, I get a text message, right? And it says, I'll read it to you word for word because it was pretty legit. So I get a text at 11:12 Eastern Standard Time. And it says, "Hi, Mike. I know this is late, but I just seen on Facebook someone is having an estate sale tomorrow, and it looks like they have a decent amount of NASCAR stuff. I'm looking for the hats we had, but I'll send you screenshots of some of the stuff that she has." Right? And so, like, I don't want to show because her number's in there, but it's just there's no messages. And I'm like, then she sends me these photos, right? There's this one of like the little listing and a couple pictures of the Facebook post, right? So I don't write back. I'm like, it's already late. So I'm like, I don't write back. And I'm like, I look at them, I'm like, dang, I'm like, I can definitely see there's jackets in there, So I'm like, whatever. It's about an hour and a half away from my house. It's the thing said it started at 7. So I set my alarm clock for 5 a.m. And I'm like, I'll wake up at 5. If I feel good, then I'll go down there. If not, then I'll just go to my normal flea market. And so I wake up at 5 and I have the idea. I don't know if you guys or if the guys that are listening, but I find estate sales on estatesales.net. I'm sure everybody knows that, but they have an app. They have an estatesales.net app that I use that will tell you all the estate sales that are around you. And then you can put your location to different areas and check there. So I put it down to where she had it at, where she told me, and it was not listed. So I was like, if it's not listed on the estate sale app, then I'm going to go because it's going to be less competition. Less people will know about it. So I'm like, all right. So I get up. So my alarm goes off at 5. I check. It's not on there. I get in the car. I drive an hour and a half. I get there at like basically 6:45. And there's no signs. I get off the highway. There's no signs, nothing, right? I just have this address. There's no signs on the road, getting into the neighborhood, nothing. And I'm like, so I pull up, and you can tell it's this house because they have a garage with no garage door, and there's some tables out there that have some stuff on it, like they're getting ready for a sale. And I'm the only one there. And I'm like, dude, I think this might be awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it's an older home. You could tell there was like old people stuff in the garage. And I'm like, so I'm sitting there waiting. And like I said, I'm about 15 minutes early. There's no other cars there. Nobody's there. And I'm like, please, whoever is running this sale, please get here like as soon as you can, because I'm about to have free range. And it was like, it was a pretty large home. And I was like, I'm about to have free range of this entire place because I don't even know if anybody else knows that this is here. And so right when they show up basically right at 7, and 2 other people show up basically right at the same time. So it was only me and 2 other people, and they're like, hey, we're going to go set up some signs, give us like 5 minutes or whatever, and then we'll let you guys in. I'm like, okay, cool. So a guy leaves, he goes and sets up some signs. They let us in. And dude, I spent $150. I got anybody who doesn't follow on my Instagram, but I got, if you can see from this photo, I got tons of jackets, like tons of true vintage crew necks. There's hats. There's like, it was $1 for shirts and $3 for jackets. And I spent $150. So like whatever that math turns out to be, it was like a ton of pieces, dude. Like the whole back of the car full, the whole trunk was full. Like PlayStation 1, like, you know, dude, just everything in there was like ridiculously old, dude. And like I said, the other two people that I was with, they weren't necessarily looking for clothes, but they knew about them. So they got some freaking sweet stuff too. But it was just sweet. I got to go pick this whole house for like half an hour.
You said you didn't know who the text was from?
So afterwards.
Do you now?
So yeah. So after the sale happens, right? I stayed there for about like an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Do you know?
And so afterwards I texted the number, right? And I texted the number at 8:45 a.m. the same day. And I was like, on Saturday, I was like, who is this again? I'm sorry, I don't have your number saved. I just left the sale that you sent me and it was really good. So thanks for sharing that to me. So I went to a yard sale in about 2 hours south of where I live. And I was down there going to flea markets, but there was a community sale. So I went to the community sale. I didn't find anything, but a lady saw me wearing that Dale Flame hat. So she walks over across the street and she's like, hey, are you into NASCAR stuff? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I have a bunch of NASCAR hats back here in the shed. You want to come look? And I'm like, yeah. So I walked back to the shed with her. Well, she ends up not being able to find them. And so she's like, hey, I'll take your number down. If I do find the hats, then I'll just call you and I'll shoot you some pictures of them or whatever. And you can come back and get them. And I was like, cool. Well, dude, that was like 6 months ago, dude. That was like a long time ago. And so I never heard anything from her. I totally forgot about it. I didn't even get her number. You know, I just gave her mine. And that was the lady that sent me that text message. Was the lady
she's playing a long game. See how she's sucking him in.
Dude, I was like, it was just crazy that I was
she's
like,
grooming him. She's gaining his trust.
Yeah, dude. And she's going to freaking.
Oh, they are in the shed. Come look again.
Yeah,
dude. So it was wild.
You're going to get maybe you should get like one of those planes and just have it fly around Jacksonville and have NASCAR jackets, call whatever. And then maybe we can get some people to look out for us that way as well.
Yeah.
The ones that tow the banner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should. And then just have my Instagram handle and my phone number.
Yeah.
I can't have my phone number though, because I'll probably get some freaking wiener pics or something. You know what I mean? But
you got this lady that's grooming you. So
yeah, I just thought cool, dude, because I was like, like one of the first ones that we talked about, we were like, or one of the first pods that we were on, we were talking about like making connections and like just being able to talk to people and like asking for things that they might not necessarily have that you can see at a sale, but just asking for the stuff that you're looking for. And so it was just like a cool, like it was like a perfect example of like what we talk about here, and then like it manifesting into something that was like ended up being really like I'll make a bunch of money on like just her sending me that text message. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it was cool.
I kind of got the same thing. I got an email on Friday, and somebody ran across they do storage units, and they ran across 100 hats, and they wanted to show me the hats, see if I'd be interested in buying them, and they sent me pictures of them. And I don't know if we're going to come to agreement on a price on them, but it's just one of those things where you have that connection, or you put yourself out there. You took the step to put yourself out there in front of everyone, and it pays off sometimes. Is it a pain sometimes? Yeah, because I was at the bins and some guy asked me, you have 4,000 listings on eBay. What do you need to be here for? So, I mean, it has
because I need to be. That's why, damn it.
Because exactly. Don't
worry. Back up, Bucky.
Don't worry about what I be doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Steven, that's when you turn the hat around and tell him, back up, Bucky.
Yeah. It's
turn that shit around. What?
That golf bag. That's what you should have said, dude.
Yeah, but maybe that deal will work out for me. Maybe it won't. But I think it definitely has been a net positive to do, whether it's this whole to to do Instagram or to do this YouTube and to get your name and your face and who you are and what you do out there, it's a net positive.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
really see a drawback.
I had a couple fall throughs myself. I mean, they just didn't work out. A couple reach outs, just wasn't gonna.
Yeah,
connect
and
with
like
the
they
others.
won't work out 100% of the time, but like
No,
I want
absolutely not.
the more people that I mean, you know, it's just the numbers game. Like the more people that contact you or you contact them, you know, eventually there's going to be some yeses and all the nos, or there will be some good deals and all the bad deals. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Which is
Yeah.
fine.
And 6 months ago, I probably would have just taken the deal and taken their counter offer and moved on and been like, but like I've said, I'm just really, really focused on the bottom line and the cost of goods right now. And I think just I may go back to doing more of those types of things, but right now I'm just trying to increase the profit back to where I was about a year ago. The best way for me to do that is going to be to get the cost of goods down.
Yeah.
So that's really my focus. Also, we had another question. What was this one? Oh, see, look at that.
Look at
It covered
you.
up. It covered up. Fired up though. You can't even
That's
see
all
him.
right.
But
That's
I
all right.
can highlight the question. John Doe, which we know is Blitz, asked, I just looked at one of your shorts. How did you get the Butterfinger hat? I'd love to find one in the wild. Only thing better would be a Baby Ruth. So yeah, that is definitely a bolo. I bet Baby Ruth would sell for even more. Their vintage Butterfinger hat, it's on one of my videos. I sold it for $100. And I think I actually got that one just in one of the picker boxes that I get. And just the really the only thing that I did special that you may not do or people may not do is just I priced it up. Because there wasn't another vintage Butterfinger hat on the market. I didn't go for the $20 or $30 just regular vintage hat. I knew that Butterfinger was a pretty iconic brand, so I went in at $100 and ended up getting that. So
How long
that's
did
really
it take?
about 3 or 4 months. It took a minute to sell, but I left it priced up just because I knew it was a pretty sweet hat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
You
really
talk about that on some of your videos as well.
Yeah.
Not being afraid to price things up.
Yeah, when we get to the bolos at the end, that's what I did on the one of those bolos too. It wasn't astronomical, but
Yeah, but it was quick,
yeah, it was quick.
which is like, you know, sometimes what I mean, we talk about all the time, but sometimes what matters more is like, you know, might not be a $500 thing or whatever, but you know, if it's 50, 60, $100 or whatever, but it sells in like 3 days, like that's, you know,
Right.
like that's as important of a bolo as, you know, the random $1,000 thing that's a super one-off, you know.
Yeah, that you'll never actually find in your entire life.
Yeah, because those are like, you know, that's all the bill payer stuff right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta have your bread and butter.
Bread and butter, baby.
So let's get into talking about cross-listing a little bit more. We talked about it a little bit last week, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Were you able to get any cross-listing done this week? I know that you got a new app, and I know we've been talking about it a little bit. How has that been going? Did you get anything cross-listed? I know you went on vacation, fired up, but
yeah, we cross-list constantly. So we cross-list everything from eBay to Depop to Poshmark, maybe one of those two. And Amanda does it for the most part.
What are you using?
I do a lot of eBay and Depop, like manually, and then Amanda does Vendu with eBay and Depop and Poshmark. And so, you know, manually is obviously much more time consuming, but
yeah,
right.
You know, that's usually like when like, the bins is a great, like, I wouldn't say that like I'm a super bins guy, but we've been going more for sure. And usually like I'll make sure that I'll have like, you know, 10 things photographed ready to be listed. And then in between those rotations or whatever, when you got to wait the 20 minutes or whatever, I'll knock out a couple at a time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
I used Vendu for a bit. I was doing crossing between eBay and Mercari. But my wife and I kind of got into a thing where anything we want to do on Mercari, she lists, and anything that we want to do on eBay, I list, and the two of us handle each platform individually.
That's good. But do you have Thrifty Trotter, dude? Dude, your avatar is freaking legit. What up, bro?
New guy, Thrifty Trotter. Wanted to shout him out.
Welcome in.
Welcome to the Reselling Raiders.
Yeah, normally
what percentage do you think it is? Like, do you think it's like, I think it's like close to 80 to 90% of the sales happen on eBay. And maybe the other ones are maybe 10%. So is it worth that time?
But in Amanda's world, it's literally the exact opposite. In Amanda's world, she does like 90% of her sales are on Depop. And then then 10% are split between maybe 80% is on Depop, and then 20% is split between eBay and Poshmark. But because Depop's it's so much more of like a social media aspect to it. You know what I mean? Like the followers and the like the just that how it's all set up in the algorithm of it. It's similar where if you list, you're gonna sell, but there's a whole nother aspect to it that that she is good at and she likes doing. So a lot of her sales come off of Depop, like multiple. She's up to selling like 5 to 9 items per day just on Depop. You know what I mean?
Really? Awesome. That's really good.
Yeah, but it's also like we've also upticked a lot of our stuff now is we're getting a space on the 5th. So once we get the space, basically we're combining everything just into one eBay and one Depop. And that way I can focus a lot more just on like my whole whatnot thing and still source for all the other stuff too, but not have to worry as much about making the time to photograph it and list it. You know what I mean? Is
hers different types of items? Is she doing women's items there?
Yeah.
Or women's vintage, or just like
it's like some women's vintage, but it's a lot of just like Lulu and like just women's stuff. And like a lot of it too with her specifically has to do with style. It has far more to do with style than it does with brand. You know what I mean? Right. Like the shirt that you're wearing, is an RLX. You know what I mean? But in the women's thing, which is a good brand, which
how'd you know that?
Because I sold it to you.
It's on your sleeve.
Women's thing is, it doesn't have to be a good brand like RLX. I mean, they just like that shirt, and it could be, a Ben Hogan, which is not as desirable of a brand, but they like the style of it. So it'll sell for good money just based on the style, and like you have to be entrenched in the, and like what's fashionable, and you know what I mean? So, and which she likes all that stuff. So it works out good for her.
Yeah. I will never be that knowledgeable about women's clothing to be able to.
We do. My wife does. We do all the luxury stuff on our Mercari. So, and my wife actually ended up, after she rage quit on whatnot, she actually ended up with quite a following over there on Mercari. So she's funny though. She'll pause for a bit, and then she'll start seeing me doing eBay packages one after the other. The next thing I know, she's sitting there with the whiteboard. She's doing the listings and everything. She's uploading. She's getting after it. She doesn't like to see me get too far ahead of her.
Yeah. Amanda and I were pretty competitive on Depop there for a little bit. And then eventually I just had to concede because her pace was, I could probably keep up with the pace, but not with like also wanting to do, at least a one whatnot show a week. It just was like, it's just way too much work, dude. She's a freaking selling machine over there, dude. So I'm like,
when's she getting back on whatnot?
I don't know. I don't think it's her thing, dude.
There were still some of those shirts on the rack that I was after when she quit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying the other day, dude. I was like, it's okay if it's, you know what I mean? Like, not everything is gonna be everybody's thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
and I'm like, and she's so good at, and dude, she would be great at Whatnot. You know what I mean? I know she would be. She's a pretty girl.
Yeah.
She has good stuff. Like, I think, you know, she's super funny, but you know, just like for whatever reason, like the camera turns on and it's just like, you know,
Yeah, my wife is the same exact way. She does not like being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Actually, she said that she wanted to do the hat house setup where she was behind the camera and I went out in front with all the purses. I said, that's not a problem. I'll sell anything.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's coming back.
I want to see Coach selling some purses.
Yeah,
we need this to happen.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe I'll put a show together.
Yeah. On her like downsides of like listing productivity on Mercari, just take a pile of those things and do Coach's Closet, hats, polos.
Well, that's why it's Coach's Closet, because you never know what's coming out of the closet. It could be golf one day. It could be toys one day. It could be luxury purses the next day.
I like that.
Anything's in the closet.
I like that.
So do you think it's worth it? I mean, so even if it's like 90-10, if it's Depop to eBay, is it worth it? Is it worth it to cross list?
For me it is, because, and this is why. And like on my side, it's definitely 90-10 eBay to Depop for sure. Like I have like 198 solds on Depop. You know what I mean? And there's like, you know, well over 1,000. But what I notice is that a ton of the items, as a matter of fact, that I've sold on Depop, when I go to delist them off eBay, they have like 0 to like 5 views. You know what I mean? There's usually very minimal views. And so, and so it's just like, if, you know, even if it's only a couple things per week or whatever it is, it's like a couple more things per week than if I wouldn't have just put the time in to just, you know, because I look at it as, I'm not necessarily taking away time from another thing. You know what I mean? I'm just, you know, it's kind of just an added thing to, you know, to do or whatever.
Right. The only problem is I still haven't, even Vendoo does have like the automatic delist if it sells.
Right.
But I don't know how well that I trusted it. It did miss a couple when I had it. But that is the thing that scares me the most, I guess, about doing too much cross listing, is getting all those items every day. And like, I mean, we shipped out 90 items since we had the long weekend. We shipped out 90 items today. And I don't know, that's a lot to go through. And if everything is not cross listed, it's a lot to go through 90 items to try to find which ones might have been cross listed and which ones weren't. But
yeah, definitely.
Currently, I have 30 items cross listed. I just cross listed them Friday to get back on it a little bit to see how it would go.
Did you?
Yeah, I think the apps are very helpful though to keep it. You know, I mean, you do need to, and I agree with you. Sometimes they miss and they don't delist when there's a sale, but you know, if you're going, like say with Vendoo, you go in there and it's the item and it has the, you know, ones that it's on. So if you know that just sold, you could delist it right there from all the platforms manually.
Right.
And I think that's a little easier than going to each platform and saying, I got to take this down. I just sold it. So.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. That's definitely the benefit of it.
The quantity.
Yeah, I think it adds value
on a daily basis too, is like, you know, especially if you don't have 100% confidence, and you know what I mean? Because like how long are you gonna pay for a service to double check that service?
Exactly.
Like, want to pay for something to have to go double check it. And, you know, so if I don't have 100% confidence that it's doing what it says it's going to do, you know, then like, you know, you lose a lot of value there.
Yeah. It's all or nothing. I mean, I would just rather not have it at all. If I have to double check it.
Yeah.
Then it's worth nothing if it misses 10% of the time, or even 1% of the time.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take much, like we've talked about before, to get to lose top rated seller or get banned from eBay if you sell stuff and you ain't got it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, what
Gosh.
is like hilarious though is that so on Depop you can't do what you can do on eBay, where you can put your store on vacation mode, but you can still make sales. You know what I mean? And it'll tell them so on. On Depop, if you put it on vacation mode, it's just nobody can buy from you for the next week,
Right.
Or until you manually. And so
that's like whatnot.
Yeah, and so I swear on my whole life that I turned my Depop on to vacation mode, and I guess I didn't. And the only thing that I brought on this trip with me that I have listed on the internet is a camo, is like a semi-heavy camo jacket, because it gets down into like the 30s here at night or whatever. Dude, the first day that I'm here, somebody buys it from me on Depop.
Speaking of Depop, the most annoying thing, I haven't sold on there in quite a while, is how many offers are accepted but they never pay.
So annoying.
Have they fixed it?
It's the worst, dude. It's the worst.
So it's still the same.
Yeah, and which this doesn't make any sense to me. I have no clue why it does it or why it doesn't, but sometimes you will get an offer, and I don't remember what it's called. It might be called like a guaranteed offer or some other thing other than like a normal offer. And it says, if you accept this, buyer will pay immediately. And like, it probably happened to me half a dozen times maybe. And like, if you hit accept, it immediately, there's no like pending payment. It's just immediately sold and goes into your sold. You know what I mean? But I don't know how do I just turn those, like those are the only ones that I want. You know what I mean? I don't really care if you offer me anything and you're not going to pay. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's a big waste of time.
Yeah, and I'm not really too sure why or how I get more of those or whatever, you know.
Yeah, that's probably the most frustrating thing about Depop is the amount. They complain about it on eBay all the time, but it is nothing compared to Depop. People just sitting around just throwing out numbers and offers all day long, and they never have to pay. They never have to do anything.
Yeah, it's like you have to accept their offer, and then they also have to accept their offer that I accepted. Make that make sense.
Right.
It makes no sense. I'm like, this is the dumbest idea of all time. Like,
so he did pay for the camo jacket?
Oh, yeah, because it wasn't an offer. He just straight up bought it full price. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, no way, dude. So like now, like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I have to go and find like in poly bag or like some kind of box or whatever, and go to the post office and print the label. I'm like, this is this. So yeah, good thing it gets me cold.
Now Mikey can't go out at night.
I know, dude. I'm like, it's literally the only jacket that I brought too. I'm like, it's classic. What JD say?
Oh, JD, I'm going through that right now. I'm hoping the damn thing comes back with tags. Otherwise, I'm gonna be pissed.
You're shit. I just got back my first bad return. Hopefully, eBay lets me keep 50% of the price. Thankfully, it was just a $50 brand new shirt with the label. Buyer sent it back without the label and stained. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
keep that 50%.
Yeah, you shouldn't have any problem keeping the money. And then, this should be.
Well, you won't have any competition on Depop from Donnie. He's still banned.
Yeah.
There's my opportunity to get back in the Depop game.
There you go. Donnie Williams is out. Jump in.
But Donnie, did you probably put a lot of NASCAR stuff on there, a bunch of nice trucker hats and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really understand. I don't really know what sells on Depop either. I don't really get it.
It's just like you have a ton of vintage, dude. Like, you know, like almost all the things that sell for me are Y2K or vintage. Which I don't necessarily pick up a ton of other stuff, but you know, I have plenty of like, you know, modern Nike sportswear and things of that nature or whatever, but just tons of Y2K, tons of vintage. Like that's usually what and Donnie, I will say I do hold a grudge, and no, I haven't forgiven you for the shirt that I picked up for you that I had to sell to Rob for $1 because you refused to join my show.
It wasn't $1.
I know. I
It
literally
wasn't
had to sell it to you for $1.
Donnie. It wasn't $1.
It was $1. I literally
I
purposely
got bid up.
$1, so that way you could buy it. So that way you could sell it to Donnie.
I agree. You put it up for $1. It did not end up being $1.
Oh.
It got bid up.
It most certainly did, unless you got him on the backside.
Well, yeah, exactly. It definitely sold for $1. And so, Donnie, even if you were on a date night, we're not a group of people that have excuses. You know what I mean? We just need to own up to our mistakes, Donnie, and it'll be fine from there. You know?
Donnie, I appreciate your date nights.
Thrifty Trotter brought up a good point too. He says, I'm strictly eBay for now to learn everything that I can eBay before venturing over to Crosslist. Dabbled with some with Posh, was almost an ambassador before moving out. That's probably the best move, is just do eBay, get really, really good at eBay before you decide to move to something else. eBay is, as far as sales velocity, sales price, sometimes not. Every platform, the price is going to vary a little bit. But as far as actually moving your items,
yes.
Do what?
I say I agree. That's basically what my wife and I have done. I'm concentrating on eBay and she concentrates on Mercari. So yeah.
At the end of the day, dude, you're never gonna beat 200 and whatever million people visiting a site like they do eBay every month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll never come close to that. So everybody will get upset about fees, and like none of us like the amount of fees and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, when you have such a stronghold on the market like you've had for the last 30 years, that's kind of like you're able to do that, for better or for worse. You're able to do that. It's all right, Donnie. I believe we will too, but it might take some time. My feelings are hurt. My feelings are hurt.
All right, let's get to. Did y'all have any bolos for this week?
What was, Steve? Before we move on, what other than your other than like the sheer amount of listings that you have, what are your other concerns about cross listing? Just the amount of
that's really it, is missing something and getting banned on eBay.
Yeah.
And besides that, I don't have a concern. It's just coming up with too many whatever they're called.
Strikes.
Well,
strikes.
I think because you don't even necessarily get strikes, right? If you whatever, say Poshmark, if you sell this hat on Poshmark, forgot to delist it or whatever happened on eBay, somebody buys it. If you just put one of those $5 coupons in an envelope and ship it to them, or in a poly bag or whatever, ship it to them, refund them their whole money, and be like, hey man, this is what happened. You know what I mean? Like, you're not canceling an order or anything like that. You know what I mean? You're just doing another adjustment. That's what I always do. I just hit other adjustment, and then I don't even put a reason, and I hit send, and then I'll message them off to the side. You know what I mean?
How what's the limit though? How many times until you get cut?
I mean, I don't know, but if you know what I mean, like for me, because you have 4,000 listings, I have a couple hundred. It's a totally different game, but and I've had to do it a couple times, over the last year or so, but I don't know how many times you're able to do that, but I know that even one cancel is bad and two cancels is really bad, and I've definitely just straight up refunded somebody and also sent them something more than twice, and I still have whatever else,
You're still above standard.
Oh yeah,
or top rated.
Yeah, top rated. Yeah,
I get that's really the only thing. If the penalty wasn't so bad for cancellation, then I would cross list everything tomorrow and just let it ride and try to make sure I got it right. And I guess it's my fault. I mean, I gotta have, if I had a decent system that every day, I mean, it's possible something will still sell in the same night or whatever, and you'll double sell it on two websites. But it just really comes down to being disciplined every single day and marking everything off that that's on this other platform. And I just don't know if it's worth that time.
Yeah.
How long will it take to do 30 or 40 items every day? And I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe a minute an item.
Yeah. That's where I like but that's also the problem with you too. That is not a problem with us, is that even if you got a service like Vendu, we'll just use that one for example. You know, for your volume, you're going to have to pay $80 a month. You know what I mean? Because
he's going to have to get the big one.
So, you know, to pay 80 and then to also have to go in there and spend some time, even if it's on Vendu, so it makes it a little bit easier, and delist it from there. If it's missed it, you know, that's $80 a month is not cheap in my opinion. So, you know, especially for a service for the business, you know what I mean? Let alone, you know, something else. So, yeah.
And then paying for $80 and they say that they're going to take care of it, but then you have to double check everything they say they're going to take care of.
I would actually be curious. Like I've never ran all the numbers, but Amanda's been with Vendu for maybe the last couple of months probably. And she has I think the base one is, you know, whatever it is, $30 a month or something like that. I don't know, but I would be curious to see, you know, what how many sales she's made on the other platforms. That is really the reason why she has that service anyway, and see, you know, after your fees and everything else, and then subtract the price from Vendu, what the actual extra profit is for the work. You know what I mean?
Right. You might end up with $50 and is an extra $50 worth that time.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be interesting to know.
The unlimited monthly on Vendu is $70 a month.
There you go, $70.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap. Definitely.
$69.99. The one below that's called Pro, and it's $49.99 for 600 items.
Okay.
600 items is it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, Steven's like, that's 4 days for me.
Not as much right now. I mean, my listings have definitely gone down.
2 boxes.
Yeah,
that is 2 boxes of that.
That's 2 boxes on a random Wednesday.
Yeah, the number of listings has definitely gone down over the past week since I'm having to pick from the bins, and I'm trying to pick closer to $30 to $40 profit items too, at least, at minimum, and I can do that better when I'm picking for myself. And when you're buying in bulk, you're trying to get rid of everything. So it's a different model, and it's going to be a little adjustment. But
I don't know about you guys, especially you guys in the chat. I'm pretty stoked to see, like, over the next 2, 4, 6 months or whatever, like how Steven's store and like specifically the bins aspect to it. Yeah, I'm super curious to see, like, you know, how it'll evolve, or like how, because Steven does a good job. For anybody that doesn't, like, you know, I might not know Steven, like, you know, my whole life, but we talk pretty much every day. And one thing about Steven that maybe other people don't know intimately is that this guy is always like, you know, brainstorming ideas on how to evolve, how to drive traffic, how to, you know, something about building a bigger and better system for yourself. And so, you know, it's like one of my favorite things is like getting a text in our group or whatever, and it's like Steven, and I know it's something because it's more than just a sentence or two. And it's like, all right, dude, I got to read this because, like, Steven he's had an idea, and like I got to read through it.
He's sitting around thinking about something. He's got that big.
And those people are important just in your life in general. You know what I mean? Like, not even just in this game that we all play, but just like in your life in general, having people that are like, you know, try to be innovative and like aren't always content with just doing it how they've been doing it, and, you know, trying to be bigger and better and more.
Well, I mean, that's how it ended up being Hat House.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is like
not the MOD.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see, like, over the next handful of months or whatever, like what this is all gonna. Because I mean, dude, Hat House might just be like everything House 79. You know, like everything under the sun 79. Like,
yeah, let's look at let's look at some of them.
JD,
We
I
can
did
get to the
that.
bolos now. Check out what I got at the bins. It's golf.
Nope, that's not it.
Okay.
It's the wrong ones.
Nope.
Why did it
Strike
pull
one.
that one up?
Because it's there.
There it is.
Boom, there it is.
Told you. This sold in like I texted y'all yesterday that I picked it up. I listed it and it sold in less than 24 hours. Got this at the bins. This is actually even left-handed, and I have a feeling. Yeah, I have a feeling like if it was like the junior set, it would still be sitting there. But this was actually like toddler, so like little bitty kids. I mean, there wasn't. We were talking earlier, kind of like the Butterfinger hat. There wasn't one listed, and there wasn't a left-handed one, and there wasn't hardly any of these actual toddler sets. I mean, there's probably hundreds and hundreds of teen or youth, but no toddler. And so the last one that sold for 75, and I was like, I'll go for 100 since it's left-handed, and that's probably even harder to find. And so maybe I could have asked 120 or 130. I don't know. Sometimes you just set the market.
That's a good flip.
Well, left-handed stuff is notoriously hard to find. So
yeah, I didn't know if it would sell better. I didn't know if it was good or bad. But there you go.
Yeah,
there's one of my bins.
Look at lefty stuff like how I look at shirts that are in 3X and 4X. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna many of them because not as many people are obviously 3X and 4X, but they always go for a little bit more money, and they tend to sell faster than your standard large or extra large.
Yeah, if you get the good ones, they are gold.
Yeah.
And two other items that I've already flipped from the bins. I flipped them on Facebook Marketplace. That Marlboro, I fired up a picture of a Marlboro duffel bag with wheels on it. Already sold. I probably got 30. Okay, that's exaggerating. I got 20 at least messages when I listed it on Facebook in about 6 hours for this Marlboro rolling duffel bag. And I listed it for $35. Most of them on eBay were $30 to $40.
So you went down the middle.
I actually got 40 for it. Guy gave me an extra $5. I don't know. Maybe it's worth more than that, but I couldn't imagine. I don't know. It was $40 in 12 hours there too. So Marlboro bag was awesome. $40 I was really surprised with. I thought it would be 20 or 30. And then I flipped a golf club too. Just a old Callaway 3-wood found at the bins. Flipped it for $30 in about 6 hours on Facebook Marketplace too. So
there you go.
There you go. The bins is paying off already, and really enjoying it. And I don't mind Facebook Marketplace.
Ben House 79.
Here you go. On Clouds for $50. Boom. Those went in about 24 hours as well.
Yeah.
Got those at the bins.
Oh yeah. You get On Clouds or
what's
the other one? Hocus.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's like printing money.
Yep. Yeah. Good flips of the week, really. Those are some good ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I will give y'all one hat. There you go. There's your Wahoo for the week. This was awesome. And it doesn't have to be vintage. I mean, this was just really good. I'll
tell you what, Steven, since we've met, I have never looked at Chief Wahoo more in my life. And every time I'm in a show or anywhere and I see that thing come up, I'm like, oh, I gotta buy that. Should I buy that? And then it's gone. Before I grab it, it's gone.
Dude, I had that shirt that I wore in my first show last week. Everybody was like busting my balls over wanting to buy it. It had the
big Wahoo logo, didn't it?
An Indian logo. And then I wore that. Yes, I did. I wore that the next day on Saturday, and some old guy at the freaking flea market tried to off the back me, dude. Like, I didn't know
how much.
Dude, he literally was like, "Hey, I like that shirt," and I was like, "Appreciate it." And he's like, "I'll buy it from you." And I was like, I've been here
I'll
before.
buy it from you, and I'll give you this one in return.
Just on the receiving end of it, I was like, yeah, I'll sell it to you. He's like, all right. I was like, $100. He's like, and I'm like, you know what it is, dude. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm young, dude. I'm not like a 95-year-old guy that has no clue what's going on with what I'm wearing. You know what I mean? Like, I know.
And he thought he was going to get it for $10.
Yeah, yep. Dude. I was like, come on, man. I was like, you can look at me and tell that like I have a fair idea of like what's going on here. But so anyway, I stopped the shirt. I didn't get $100 for it, unfortunately. I would have.
Yeah. If you had to make a guess, all right, I'll let Coach you go first. What do you think that shirt when he runs it? What do you think it'll sell for?
I'm gonna say, well, wait a minute. Let's see. It's definitely not going to go Red Hot Chili Peppers, but 128.
128.
Yeah, I don't think
that is a lot. I'm thinking 65. I'm thinking 65 or 70.
I was gonna. Yeah.
Are we? We're in his vintage show.
Yeah, when he runs
we're at the end of the show.
Are you saving it till the end? Is it going to be preloaded?
Oh, I have so many good ones now that like I'm gonna do another really good show here soon. So that one
that'll go up. That'll definitely be. He'll stand there the whole show going, I can't sell for that. I got to at least get $100. And by the end of the show, it'll be $128.
Yeah. One of the guys that bought that that chain stitch jacket in my 1 year show, that it went for good money. It went for like $130 or whatever. I mean, less money than what it should have gone for, but that's the name of the game. And he ended up selling it. Him and I follow each other on Instagram, and he ended up selling it to like some collector or whatever. And I was like, dude, what'd you get for it? Because I was like, it's the only thing in there that like I had an attachment to. I was like, I really love that jacket, And he's like, dude, I made $20 on it. And I was like, shit. I was like, dude, I was really hoping you were gonna tell me you sold it for like $500. You know what I mean? But my bolos, I really have one main one because I've learned quite a bit about it over the last 2 weeks or so. Is kids vintage, like 4Ts and 5Ts and stuff like that. I don't have children, so I obviously never look for kids' clothes. I was at the flea market a couple weeks ago, and the lady had a ton of 80s and 90s kids t-shirts and dresses and 101 Dalmatians, a lot of Disney stuff. And so I picked up a couple things. I could have probably picked up maybe 200 pieces if I would have known about it. And I think I picked up 5 pieces, and all of them have sold for me already. A lot of them I couldn't get the stains out of. If I tried hard enough, I could have, but so the best one was $60, and like the rest of them were like anywhere from like that $30 to $25 range. But there were some that I remember seeing because they sold so fast and they sold for such decent money that I was like, dude, I think I messed up by not getting like way more of these. And one of the shirts was like basically like a long sleeve, like 101 Dalmatians AOP, like just a kid's shirt, it was like 3T or something. And there was a comp online for like over $100 for it. So wow. Don't, like whether you're at the thrift or at Fleas or whatever, a lot of the same rules apply to adult vintage that they do to kids. Not all vintage will sell. It's supposed to be a cool print, it has to be a cool pattern. It has to be, something recognizable. And a lot of that kid stuff, that's the Disney stuff, the Winnie the Pooh, the, things like that. Especially little girls' dresses, dude, they sell really, really, really well and for some really legit money. And very quickly too, like very quickly. So, be on the lookout for those.
Yeah, I'm totally surprised you're talking about them selling in about 24 hours.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
I've never picked up a kid's item on purpose.
I sold 5 of them in the last week and a half. So, and this the only 5 that I got. So, yeah, they're all just legit, dude. Don't sleep on older kids stuff.
Okay. All right, so look, I'll give you one. Look, our guy that we all know, Thrifty Golf DFV,
Oh yeah,
did an insane 18-hour hat show.
Maniac, dude.
Well, he did the 12-hour one prior, so he had to stretch it out for more, right? So it came up, and I'll tell you why I'm pointing this out. But if you can get the 90s vintage Ping hats, there's a collection of these. They're not mass produced. I mean, there's a limited edition amount of these. And Thrifty happened to sell the one that has the flamingos on it, which is one of the most hard to
Coveted
get ones. Yes, yeah, you just can't. This is one of the most limited runs.
You will pick up
He
all
just
the
happened
dudes
to
on the
sell it
range with that.
for that.
Golly.
$450 for a Ping hat.
On whatnot, dude.
On whatnot, yeah. And then, of course, anytime you see that guy's name,
yeah, and he's
if you could find him, you better grab him.
Yeah,
he is a definite sale.
I haven't found, besides the actual golf clubs, I didn't find a single piece of golf. Well, take that back. I found a Jack Nicklaus polo, but hardly found any golf apparel, golf hats, golf anything like that. I was really disappointed at the bins.
Well, you just have to give it time. It'll get better for you. JD, you gotta Google Lens that thing and see what you got.
Yeah, if you got what are flamingos?
We got the flamingo.
Yeah. Because
do you think it's that rare, or was it just the hype in the show?
No, those were his rare ones he was running. He ran a bunch of the rare collection that he had of Ping hats.
I wonder.
Mind you, if he's selling it, he's got another one somewhere.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any comps online for those. Like, I'd be curious to see how they matched up. What
I don't know about for the.
So, are you guys everything resellers?
Yep, Thrifty asked if we're everything resellers. I used to be, and then I went away to just strictly hats, and now I am coming back around to everything. So my bolo list will get bigger, and I think I'm just going to try and find whatever has the most profit at the bins right now.
Yeah, I think that's a
Mikey,
good.
Here's a sale, Mikey.
Yeah, when was that?
Yeah,
for that.
That's a really cool one. That's a super cool one. When was that, Rob? Does it say when that's?
I think that was 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you also get good hype. You know, I mean, like there's a lot of factors that will drive too, because it's like you can have that one that is probably it's a $170 hat, but the flamingo one might just be maybe that guy loves flamingos, or maybe whatever it is, and that's what drives the price for sure. Thrifty, I would say that everybody is probably, there's things that you're gonna know more about for sure. But if somebody puts something in your face that will make you some money, I'll sell it all day. All day. I sell cameras, electronics. I sell a lot of vintage. I sell a ton of hats. Anything. I'm not afraid to pick it up. I sold a dang Acorn stair lift, old person chair that brings you up the stairs, dude. Like I do not have I don't have any problem with that. I think. And me personally, I think that's the best way to be. You know what I mean? Like if you don't know who this is, go look him up. Robin Hood of Goodwill. Go look him up on YouTube, and he's probably one of the best everything sellers, in my personal opinion, on the internet. His knowledge base of so many different things, from clothing to lampshades, is it's literally incredible, and you can learn so much from them. And I do want to say, before we get off here, that the bolos are legit, and I proved that last week. I proved it last week because Rob had the Den Caddy bag, or right? That's what it's called, Den Caddy, or
Den Caddy, yeah.
Den Caddy.
And our bolos last week. He had that. And then literally the next day or 2 days later or whatever, I'd never heard of him a day in my life, never saw one, no clue what it even was. The next day or maybe 2 days later at the bins, I got one. I didn't look it up, nothing. And I got it just because of the bolo. So those are, they're legit. You guys, just stick a couple in your head, dude. And when you're out and about, you'll remember stuff. And boom, there it is. You pick it up and
I would say to Thrifty Trotter there, like if you're the big thing is, and like Mike was talking about the knowledge that the guy rolls around with, and it's doing the research. So he's telling you to find this guy, follow, check him out, gain some knowledge from there. You're here trying to gain some knowledge. That's what we're all doing together. We're all trying to just gain more knowledge as we go, because then you become more comfortable selling more things. Right now, we're all selling kind of what we're comfortable with, or we're doing the research to sell it.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about earbuds now too. So
exactly. Like that's the best, dude. The best is the best thing, the most fun thing for me is what happened last week when I learn about something from somebody else. And in this case, it was Rob. And then a couple of days later, I end up finding it. And it's like, okay, cool. So, virtually Rob just said, here's $100 bill and put it in your lap. I mean, that's, more or less that's what all of this is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are just out here freaking launching money around if you just take the time to go and, I say this all the time. I watch a ton of content, a ton, you know what I mean? Cause I'm always just well,
you're stuck on that wall waiting 20 minutes every day.
I know. That's what I'm saying, dude.
And we definitely want to have the Bolo segment every week on this show. We're definitely going to get around to doing the Bolos. I sent y'all a Bolo song. Didn't get any word back.
Oh
yeah. Which one you like?
You sent it while I was working, and I meant to check it out when I got home.
I was working.
I think I'm gonna have to try again. I really didn't like any of them. So trying to find us a Bolo jingle to kick off our Bolo section next week. So hopefully I'll have that together too.
Yeah, it got to be a little shorter.
Yeah, I think it need 10 seconds. Hard hitting bolos or something.
I want to know, Thrifty Trotter, how did you find this? I'm super curious. Did you find it out? I want to know how a new guy got up in here. I think that's cool. I'm I think it's pretty awesome.
Mike, I am just kind of a big deal. I don't know if you know me or not.
Some would say 4,000 listings, the largest deal, dude. Literally the largest. Supporting a whole tribe, dude. The largest.
Mike, side note for you.
What else you guys got?
I got a side note for you on one of your stories you told earlier.
All right.
I used to own a trucking company.
Nice.
Just throwing that out there.
What kind of trucking?
I had a contract with Montgomery Wards, and back in the day, it was a stereo place called Luskin's. You guys probably never heard of it. It was more local to the DMV.
Like a Circuit City?
Yeah.
Service merchandise?
I did Circuit City. We did Sears.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, they do. They transport mobile homes, and I mean that's where their business basically started at, and they still do a lot of it, but now it's just evolved into we did
home deliveries.
Yeah, it's awesome. They have a fun thing. I'm literally gonna be in the wilderness fishing for the next week and doing my best to try to find some small town Montana honey holes so I can pay for this trip. You know what I mean? So hopefully when we jump back, I'll still be here next Tuesday or Monday, whenever we do this next week. So hopefully I have some good finds for you next week.
I won't have anything. I'll be on vacation again. I'm going to play golf.
Yeah, go play golf, and also go pay for your golf trip by being out and about in the public,
Well, actually, to pay for it, I'm going up to Griff's. So Thrifty is coming as well.
Yeah.
So me and Thrifty are taking on Griff and Mulligan Merchant in a battle of shirts.
What? That's this.
We're each bringing
Saturday?
This Friday.
This Friday,
the 30th. We're each bringing 20 shirts, and we're going head to head, 1-on-1.
Love it.
It's Maryland versus West Virginia.
Maryland versus West Virginia. There's gonna be some deals, dude. I know there's gonna be some grails in there. I know it.
If I hadn't already packed them, I'd show them to you, but they're already packed. So
there's gonna be some good stuff.
All right, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out today. Make sure you leave us 5 stars. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Really appreciate that help. That really helps us out and keeps us coming back again. And we'll see you again next week. Later, guys.
Later, dudes.
Take care. Take care.